She is the lip sync assassin who went balls to the wall for this ball. It's Synthia Kiss.
Hello, how are we doing, Meredith? Oh my God, so happy to see you. Virtual hugs.
Right? All these things. I am just so thrilled to be talking to you. Of course, I'm sad, but I'm thrilled because you are just joy incarnate. Look at you here, looking so beautiful. I'm going to get to this look in a minute. But yes, I can still call you a lip sync assassin, even though the third time we were taken down, Synthia. But
right,
you gave it a good Canada's Drag Race go.
Oh, hell yeah.
How are you feeling after watching last night? How are you feeling?
It's so funny.
I know how I'm feeling. How are you feeling?
You know, it's one of those things we do. So I got to experience it and now I get to watch it with everyone. So there is obviously that point where you're like, I don't want to say triggered. You're like, oh yeah, like, oh, this is sad. You know what I mean? This is heavy. This is hard. But at the same time, to have a room full of like so much love. I'm in Halifax right now doing viewing parties. And I believe Kendall and I are the only queens touching the Atlantic this time for this show. So there was so much love in the room that like to wrap the night off with like a standing ovation. I just feel like I'm the queen's people. So, you know, losing is the new winning. And, you know, there's always all stars. So sign me up, RuPaul.
There sure is. Application open.
Yeah, exactly.
So you shared so much this season. I mean, from your talents, of which there are many, from your vulnerability to a really special story about your family. Last episode, I was really moved by what you shared about your dad. And I'm curious about, you know, it's one thing to share it. It's one thing to watch it back with Canada. So what's your relationship like with him now that the show's going on?
Oh my God. Okay. So he is obsessed with Drag Race. Like, I think he has like come into his own sexuality on a new level watching this show, just watching so many queer men, trans folk, everywhere in between, just live their authentic lives. He was already like warming up to it. I could even tell like the minute he started to say he was watching the show. And then to watch his own son be on, it's like his face was on the show. Like he literally was just so excited. He's like, that's me, like I'm literally on. And I just think he's learning that in life, it, you know, it can be scary. I know he was like raised by like, or taught by nuns, not raised, but, you know, taught by like nuns, very Catholic, that runs deep, mama. You know, he has these qualms about his sexuality, but we got to break that down and rebuild because he's funny, he's fabulous. And I get a lot of my humor from him. And so the moments on the show where I shine as far as comedy, I really have to owe that to my dad. So it's been really full circle for him. That's why I'm wearing a circle today.
It's a full circle moment. It's all of it. It's all of it. One of the things before we get into all that, let's stay in our feelings. Let's stay in our seriousness, because one of the discussions from last night's episode that I really loved, and those workroom discussions to me, I mean, the looks are the looks and the drama, but those discussions are what just get me into this show so much. And you all had a really incredible discussion about pronouns and about, you know, even within the drag community, how that can be confusing or difficult. And you had the coolest line of the night, which was like, look, we update our phones once a month. Why can't we just update our language? Level up. And I thought, well, call to action, Synthia Kiss. Level
we
up.
all got our phones.
It's not that complicated. Yeah.
It's not. And I'm not here to shade people, but just like it took Kimora to kind of stick her neck up and ask, you know, like, ladies, this confuses me sometimes. I love Kimora. She will have the hard conversations. She got that going. I'd say out of all the mirror moments this season, that was one of the most special because everyone on the show can take something away from that. As the fan base, the audience goes more and more mainstream, we have that many more people who don't identify as queer watching. What a perfect learned lesson. You know, I have certain family members who don't get drag culture. You know what I mean? Up until me being on this show, didn't know what Drag Race was. And so it's this beautiful catalyst where we can be teaching people while like wearing glitter and having fun, but it's the humanity. That part of the show is just so important. And I challenge the general public to update their mindset as often as their phone. It's not that hard. It really, really isn't. You know, like pronouns are just like, it's how you greet someone. It's the perfect icebreaker. You know what I mean? It's like, you just ask when you meet someone for the first time, and let's just make it commonplace. It's much like, how was your week? Where are you from? Oh, I'm noticing an accent. Like, are you from a different part of the world? You know, it's these things. What's wrong with us getting to know each other on an intimate level? Like, I think that's all we want to do, is connect. And by staying curious, asking questions from a place of respect and not judgment, you're good to go. Just tread with respect. That's all I ever say.
Stay curious, stay kind, stay engaged, and update.
Mama, update.
So the looks, woo, we had a lot. We had a ball this week, and you served 3. So when we're talking about Sinner's Ball, and you're clearly, you know, you can sew. Are you thinking, here I come, you know, watch me stitch, right? Are you thinking
Meredith,
this at the start?
At this point in the competition, I was so stripped of my confidence when it came to my fashion sense. Like, every week, Brooklyn was just like, yeah, she sang the best. Her verse was amazing, but that runway, like, literally every week, it was like, does it even matter how we perform in these maxi challenges? I felt like this season was really weighted in the runways. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the runways. Like, I have a fashion background, but there were points where I was like, yeah, but I just like sang like my heart out, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so there's those points where it's like, okay, you know, maybe they're just looking for something different this season, which is totally fine. But to answer your question honestly, when it came to that ball, I was like, oh my God, like, I gotta make something here. I gotta impress Brad. I gotta impress Brooke. I gotta do it for me. I gotta do it for my like industry fam back home. Like, I think at that point in the competition, I just was starting to lose focus as far as like who Synthia is. And for any queen ever going on the show, that's your North Star at all times. Stay true to you if there's nothing else. And I can say with confidence, I never let go of my humility, the comedy side of Synthia. That was like my saving grace. Even if they didn't like the runways, I was like, I'm gonna make you laugh. We're gonna have a good time. And it's okay if you don't like what's on my body. I will outsource when we leave this show. But like, I think for me, one of the coolest moments was like Snatch Game. You know, the interviews, all my cute, quippy little sound bites, you know, Stressica Simpson, Jury Duty. Like, it was all these moments throughout the season that I feel I can take to the bank. And now when I do these viewing parties and people are quoting me, I'm like, this is so cool. Like, this is why I did this experience.
Okay, so let's get into these looks down the runway. I want to talk about the one you're wearing now. So first of all, there were 3 looks. So first you went for that kind of snakeskin 70s groupie moment, which you had the judges totally divided.
I love.
So did I.
I love a polarizing look.
You caused a fight between the judging panel, which I was like, amazing. Now, but I need to learn something about your decisions for what you're wearing right now, which was your second look.
Oh my God.
Which was ugly as sin. Are you afraid of being ugly? Can you not be ugly? This is not ugly.
Okay. So do you ever have a project where its intention starts one place, and then as you get going, it's just like transforming in your eyes, like it's getting away from you? Like, you look back and you're like, oh,
yes,
that's
kind of like my interviews with you queens. I start off being very professional, and then I just start to fangirl my way through them, and I just throw up my notes, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, by the end you're like, oh wait, I didn't follow the agenda at all.
My job.
And exactly, to my point, like, to me too, I'm like, oh wait, my job, I really didn't follow the brief. At first I wanted basically I wanted it to be this shapeless Mrs. M&M silhouette. We wanted to do a ball, not a 2D sphere.
It wasn't.
No. By the time when I was putting it all together, I know, my legs looked like 52 inches long. I was like, okay, literally my little arm, I was like, okay, what am I? I can't be ugly. I thought my wig stylist, he protected all the wigs as he was packaging them for the flight. And I wouldn't undo the wigs until the runways. Like, I didn't actually know the official styling. Like, so I put this on and I was like, oh, I look like really good. And then I was excited because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna look amazing on TV. But then I'm like, but this is so not the brief. Like, it is just not the right time to look good. All the other queens were you look really good. Like, it was like a compliment but an insult because of the theme. I was like, oh my God, classic me. I'm opposed to the typical. If you tell me to do one thing, I'm gonna be like, did you mean this?
Right. So we didn't understand understand the assignment on 2, but we kind of looked amazing, so we're sort of okay with it. So then we go into the design challenge of the 3 looks, which you got Greed. And I know you were a little bit, you know, you didn't want to go all the way gold because you sort of had done that in your first design challenge. I went leopard for you today because you
I wanted to
leopard.
ask. Thank you.
You know, I plan my looks too. I don't have a wig stylist, but I'm getting there. So talk to me about making that. I know you said you were kind of cutting and hoping and praying that it would go somewhere. So a little bit of that, and then we'll go on to the lip sync. So give me a little of that Greed.
I was just thinking like, okay, avoid the gold because you've seen it. I just can't, I can't do 2 design challenges with the gold. The first one was in my hands. The second one I was given my trunk. There was a considerable amount of metallic material in there. And I used all of the fur, like all of the animal print, everything else, because I was like, okay, let's avoid that with a 10-foot pole. I thought the idea of greed, excess, like, you know, wearing animals is so greedy. Like for me personally, I think it's kind of cruel. There's enough, I mean, the fabrics were fun fur, but I wanted to make the statement. So essentially, I kind of had that in my head. I was trying to make this heavy fabric turn into something. At one point it was going to be a dress, but then it just looked like, honestly, so bad. So I was like, okay, maybe we do like a little top. But you know, we got somewhere.
What is so difficult about this lip sync is the fact that you were bottom Betty with your favorite Judy.
Yeah.
And Kendall Jenner, what a phenomenal queen she is. And here you go up against her, and your headspace when it's like da 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 is what?
Yeah. It's intense. I kind of, the minute her name was announced, I had that, all of these emotions go through my head. It's like such an emotional lasagna. You know what I mean? It's like, we've got the layer as far as like it being my 3rd lip sync. We've got the layer that I know how great of a performer she is. We've got the layer of the 100K on the line. Like there's so much going on, but instead of like taking a bite of that emotional lasagna, I put it on the counter and I let it chill, because what I can do in the moment is dance and entertain and not think about that, because all that's going to do is make me spiral, and I have to spiral the other kind of fun way on stage with my moves. So for the moment, I had to compartmentalize. I literally just was like, okay, that's not happening right now. But you know, it was so beautiful. I love the moment on the show when Kendall and I are like embracing, and you can see there's moments where we have the same like thought patterns. Like you can tell we were part of a girl group. It was a good lip sync. Like
it was a great lip sync.
It could have been a double save, but I digress.
I am very excited to see what comes next for you. I'm very excited to download your single, which I hope you are like literally in studio right now doing, because my God, girl, you can sing.
Oh my God, thank you.
I want to play it on iHeartRadio, all the things. I thank you really sincerely for your contribution to the season. I'm going to miss you so much next week, but it was such a pleasure.
It won't be the same.
It won't.
It just won't be the same. Who's going to narrate? Who's going to explain everything?
Who's going to do those interviews so well? Who's going to come in with the little burst that I need? Who is that? Who is that going to be?
Who's going to have the blonde mullet?
Suki's out. You know, like all the little spicy.
I know.
Anyway, love you. Thank you.
Love you too, Meredith.